I've taken a look at your LinkedIn and your posts, and we've gotten a chance to talk. Right. I remember being on a recent webinar, actually, an Ali K. Miller, who's very mainstream, so lovable, does it really well, has really brought AI to what I would call the frontline team member, right, to the field, and has really empowered us to learn more and to lean in. And I love that about Ali K. Miller. But what I learned from your posts and what you're doing and how you're educating specifically in vertical agents, right? I think I'd love to touch on that. What is that? And how do you foresee agents changing industries? Is there any particular industries that you think will go first and this will really get integrated into?
Yeah, and I might step on my own toes here, but honestly, I think it's coming for software engineers pretty quickly. And it's the major jump is more or less I've felt been in the last 2 or 3 months, and it's been with the releases of these updated reasoning models and seeing what the competition is in the space, and that's heating up. And there was the DeepSeek release. That was a mic drop. And then also the follow-up of the O3 Mini has also been a very eye-opening kind of realization to what the capabilities of what these models are. And at the moment, I can see definitely software engineering, customer service aspects. I don't really see a place that it can't touch until we start getting inundated with robotics.
For sure. And something that I've noticed about you, Ryan, that you do publicly and on your social media platforms is you actually show, right? And this is something that at White Glove and the AI Executive that we really preach is no hype. Let's get through the noise and let's provide educational and applicable things that people could go do within their businesses or in their personal life. What I love about what you've shared is, hey, let's pull it up, let's test this, and let's show. So you brought up DeepSeek and you brought up O3. And we saw what X and Elon just delivered a couple nights ago. They're working through the bugs. What are your thoughts? Walk me through some of your favorites and some that maybe not necessarily are that you throw away, but they have some work to do. What are your thoughts?
That's a good question. It's starting to get to where I believe I haven't played with the new Grok model. I'm actually probably tonight or tomorrow, I might start implementing it into my current projects just so that we can start to test. I know that it's on Chatbot Arena. I like to do my evaluations based on equipping it with a set of tools that I find interesting and seeing what it's capable of from the tools perspective. And admittedly, I haven't used the Chatbot Arena, but from what I've heard, it's more like people testing different prompts against various models and then choosing the model blindly. And from what I've heard, last week or so, Grok has been rising in those charts. So I have not had the chance to test it yet, but I am very excited to see what its reasoning capabilities are. And it's interesting from the perspective of, do we even need the previous model versions? Like, are we going to just kind of stop using the GPT versions, and are we just going to start going? Are the default use cases all going to be all going to revolve around the reasoning models? That's kind of what I'm watching in the short term. It seems to be the case that these reasoning models are really good at thinking through the whole process and then executing. And before, with the other models, we started to get these times where the model would execute instead of thinking first. And right. Something that's interesting that I've seen recently, and this just caught me by surprise testing with a friend the other day, showing him my app. We were trying to basically he was running a malicious query through the app, and it's on a container, so it's isolated. But I was like, yeah, go ahead and run it. Like, let's see what happens. And the funny thing is we were doing this on O3, and what I was suspecting was the model to just go ahead and start executing the tool, but it would not. It specifically, we asked it why would it not do it? And it didn't actually tell us that, hey, your query is malicious. I don't know if it's internally thinking about, maybe I shouldn't reveal that, hey, this person is trying to do something malicious. But it specifically prevented the tool execution, where it said, I'm not doing that, and didn't even provide a response. And so that was a very interesting development that I think is emergent behavior prior to the previous model versions.
Man, that's some great stuff. And I love, see, you're in it, right? You're doing, you're showing. I really appreciate that as someone that comes from an operator background, finance background. I love the tangible, right? And again, you're showing it live or out on your social media platforms. You said something that really caught my attention, right? So you like to test or use things that fit within your ecosystem as tools, right? Your set of tools. And I feel like there's a lot of business leaders out there as they're trying to lean in, there's still a question on, well, how do I do this with my existing workflow, my existing tech stack? And it sounds like you have a bit of a system there, or maybe even a recommendation. And do you mind sharing that suggestion or advice as business leaders, professionally out there, or maybe even personally, as they're looking to lean into AI and use and test? Walk us through what you just said around, well, I want it to fit within the tools that I enjoy using. I love that word too, that I enjoy using. What can you unravel that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. And that's one of the biggest pieces that I've been focusing on is just what are the possibilities with various types of tools, whether it be a more granular based tool that gives it more deterministic inputs and outputs, or is it a more broad based tool like equipping it with its own virtual machine, and then whatever you put on the virtual machine or whatever it installs on that virtual machine is the bounds within its execution environment. So the one that I've been really utilizing, and this is kind of going into like, we throw in Devin and stuff like that and trying to reverse engineer what they're doing. But from my perspective, when you take an agent like normal chat GPT and then you bolt on a tool like a virtual an Ubuntu 24 container that may not be a full virtualized operating system,
Right.
but it's a isolated piece that an AI can perform bash commands into. Well, its action space is just so vast, and it's really, you're only limited based on what you can actually put within that execution environment for that agent to do. So you could technically you could have this other container wherever it may be running be equipped with its own GPUs, and it could be doing fluid dynamics calculations and then reporting back to you over your chatbot or over Slack, just like a normal employee. That, from my perspective, is one of the most exciting pieces, and that goes into the newer stuff that we've been seeing from the new model provider, or the operator model, like from OpenAI, that can do full computer use. I haven't played with those yet, and but those are where I see it, where things going, and so I'm not focused there. I'm focused on all of the tools that don't take up that. So it's like equipping an agent with a browser use so that I can see it, it could utilize my applications to some extent, equipping the agent with the virtualized operating system and its own SSH key so that it could technically have its own Git credentials and create issues, or write its own code and submit that code for me to review.
I get fired up because there's people like you, and we have the team at White Glove that are showing me how you can use these agents, to your point, in something as we use it every day, your browsing tools, right? And to see it work and be prompted and pulling things for you, and what used to take me, even little minutes, hours, can be done in seconds without me having to touch my keyboard or do anything. And it's outstanding. I appreciate you bringing that up.